In Season 1 of Manifest, the travelers on board Montego Air Flight 828 depart from Jamaica in 2013. Yet, upon their arrival in New York City, they find that the date is now November 4, 2018, and that they have somehow jumped forward 5 years in time. Moreover, it's not just the time jump that the travelers need to worry about, as they each begin hearing voices guiding them on specific missions. The NSA and its chief, Robert Vance, start to investigate the reality behind the plane's disappearance and urge all the travelers not to discuss their experience with anyone. Additionally, the world had assumed the travelers were dead, leading to many complications upon their return. Michaela Stone was an NYPD detective, engaged to fellow detective Jared before Flight 828. Upon her return, she finds that Jared has married her best friend, Lord. Michaela's brother Ben was on board Flight 828 with his young son Cal, who had recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer. Ben's wife Grace and their daughter Olive, Cal's twin, had been forced to board a separate flight out of Jamaica. During the 5-year absence, Grace began dating a man named Danny, whom Olive started to look up to as her new mentor. Grace breaks up with Danny to reconcile with Ben upon his return, but the relationship is now strained. Eventually, Grace reveals to Ben that she is pregnant, but that Danny is likely the father. Meanwhile, Cal struggles with his twin sister and his friends, now being 5 years younger than them. Then, we are introduced to a medical researcher named Sanvi. She was also on Flight 828 and is returning to her workplace after 5 years. The research she submitted just before her disappearance has been in practice for the past 2 years and has cured cancer. Her colleagues throw her a surprise party welcoming her back. The next morning, Michaela goes for a run and comes across 2 dogs barking at her from inside a gate. She hears the calling in her mind for the second time. This time, the voice asks her to let them free. She thinks about it for a moment before continuing her run. Hours pass and it gets dark, but the voice doesn't go away. At midnight, Michaela goes back to the spot and is joined by Ben. It turns out he also heard the same calling as she did. They tear open the gate and let the dogs free, but decide not to tell anyone about the callings. The whole world's eyes are on them, so if they say something strange, people might perform experiments on them. The next day, the police find security footage of the incident. Jared keeps it on the down low to keep Michaela out of trouble. He asks her why she let the dogs free, but even she doesn't have an answer to that. They find the dogs and go to the owner to apologize. Meanwhile, Ben tries to mend his relationship with Olive, attending her soccer games and learning about her life. They decide to take things slowly because after Cal and Ben's disappearance, Olive had to go to therapy for a long time. When Michaela gets closer to the dogs, she again hears the voice asking her to set them free. Jared converses with the dog's owner, explaining the situation to him, but Michaela can't concentrate because of the voice. She suddenly tears open a door to a room out of pure instinct. Inside are the 2 girls who were kidnapped a few days ago. The voice had been asking her to set the girls free, not the dogs. Jared is stunned, but he doesn't have time to process what happened because he needs to arrest the kidnapper. The police force believes Michaela is ready to continue her job since she was able to solve the case just after returning. They allow her to come to work, but put her on desk duty for a few days. Elsewhere, Ben and the family are playing a board game together. Grace gets a text from her boyfriend saying that he misses her. She was involved with a man before Ben's return, but doesn't have the courage to tell him yet. Meanwhile, some passengers on the flight get a slight headache, and something in their hearts tells them to immediately go to the airport. When they arrive, they are stunned to see each other. Suddenly, the plane explodes into pieces without anything triggering it. When the NSA finds out that 20 passengers were present at the scene, they are brought in for questioning. They all give the same answer that they just felt the need to come to the airport. They are released after 10 hours of questioning, but the authorities keep an eye on them to make sure they aren't hiding something. At breakfast the next morning, Jared hears a specific tune playing in his mind. No one else hears it, which makes him question his sanity. Following the eventful morning, he and Grace bring Cal for chemo, where they meet Sanvi. After finding out she was also on Flight 828, they are stunned because Cal is being treated using her discovery. Meanwhile, Michaela goes to work and finds Lord. They used to be best friends, but this time, Michaela can't bring herself to talk to her. Later, She is informed that she must take a psych eval before she returns to work. Ben is crossing a street when he hears the same tune again and decides to follow it. This time he reaches a street singer, Rad, who is also in the same situation as them. It turns out, Rad left his 13-year-old son with his neighbor when he first boarded the plane. Now, he has found out that his son, Adio, is in prison, but no one is letting the poor man meet him. Jared has been called to help him, which means he needs to assist Rad. Using his connections in the NYPD, he arranges a meeting between Rad and his son. Adio has been captured for stealing from a jewelry store he works in, but he insists that it wasn't him. The person might be lying, but something tells Ben that he isn't. Ben confesses to Michaela to keep the callings a secret from Grace as well. He doesn't want her to feel like he is any different from the Ben he was 5 years ago. The next morning, Grace gets a call from her boyfriend, who is urging her to come clean with Ben. As she is explaining the situation to him, Michaela overhears her. She promises not to tell Ben, but asks Grace to quickly figure out what she wants to do. Later, Michaela delves into Adio's case and finds that all evidence points towards him being the culprit since there is no sign of forced entry and he used a fake ID to get the job. Rad goes to talk to him once again, but Adio insists that it wasn't him. He used the fake ID to get better jobs, but he would never steal something from the job he worked hard to get. That night, Grace buys Cal new toys because his old ones were given away. However, he misses things like his rock collections and limited edition Legos. It turns out that without Grace's knowledge, Olive has stored them in a storage unit. She and Ben go to retrieve the stuff, and Ben finds out the unit belongs to Grace's boyfriend, Danny. Before they can move the boxes, Ben again hears the tune. This time, in reality, he follows it and finds out it is the ringtone of the jewelry store owner's son. He is the one who stole the jewelry and set out to frame Adio. Ben immediately calls the police and gets him arrested. Eventually, Adio is set free and Rad couldn't be happier. Michaela goes through her Facebook page and finds several messages from Lourdes over the years. It makes her remember the friendship they shared. She goes to Lourdes' place and reunites with her, apologizing for everything. Elsewhere, Ben confronts Grace about her relationship. He doesn't blame Grace for being with someone else to get over the pain of losing her husband and child. Grace is grateful to have such an understanding man as her husband. After that, we are introduced to Kelly, one of the 828 passengers who has been the most vocal about what happened to them. She goes on interviews and blames the government for covering something up. Then, when she is watching the news at night, someone shoots her dead. In a few hours, her home is surrounded by police. Ben also learns about it through the news and asks his family to watch out for strangers because the death might be related to her being a passenger. He gets a call from Sanvi, who says that she has found an unseen protein in Cal's blood that wasn't there before the return. They decide to keep it a secret until she does more research to find out what exactly it is. Following the call, Michaela and Ben go to Kelly's home to investigate the homicide. However, they are interrupted by Vance, who throws them out because the matter related to Flight 828 involves national security. Outside, they meet Kelly's spouse, Taylor, who says that his wife had a call yesterday. Before they can ask him about it, he leaves. Michaela has also been hearing the phrase, "own your truth," repeatedly in her mind. She hears Kelly say the same thing in her interview and realizes that she is meant to find Kelly's killer. Later, she and Ben go to talk to Taylor, who is preparing for the funeral. He believes that Kelly was killed because of the interviews, and so does his maid. When they start to get visitors, the siblings find their way out. However, this reminds Michaela of her friend Evie's passing. A few months before the disappearance of the flight, Michaela was in a car accident with Evie. Evie died in the accident, and since Michaela was driving, she never forgave herself to own her truth. She goes to Evie's parents' home and finds her mother. The last time Michaela was here, she was thrown out because the couple didn't want to see her. But this time, Beverly welcomes her in. Michaela soon finds out that she has dementia and still thinks her daughter is alive. Her husband, however, still blames Michaela for Evie's passing. After the encounter, Michaela goes to work and meets Jared. He did some digging on Kelly and found that she and her husband own a downtown mall. Michaela remembers that the maid mentioned a mall while talking about Kelly yesterday. That place could hold the answers they are looking for. Subscribe for more videos like this.
turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.